The word of God is both offensive and defensive. And so we know that the words that Jesus speaks, he said this in his word, that they are spirit and they are life. So we understand that the word of God is a spiritual truth. And we also understand that the word of God is a weapon. As a weapon as it is, we still also find protection in his word. So thank you for coming back, guys. May God bless you, keep you, and thank you for the likes, comments, and subscribing. If you're hearing us for the first time, hello and welcome. We do understand that we are not wrestling against flesh and blood. That's Ephesians 6 verse 12. So we also have been told in the word of God the real fight that we have. So I need us to go to 2 Corinthians 10 verse 3 to 5. 2 Corinthians 10:3 says, "For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh." 4 says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God, for pulling down strongholds." 5 says, "Casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ." Well, somehow with the word of God, we do understand that there is a fight. But according to God, we are told that the kind of way that we have to fight. The Bible, the word of God, makes us to see the real battle that we have to look at, the right way that we have to fight. Yes, you do see problems on the physical realm. You see things happening in the physical, but they start in the spirit. So the word of God brings us to the right environment or the right ground to solve the real problem. Now, the enemy loves it when you see a person as the problem, like a source of an issue, because then if you fight this person and fight the other person and not dealing with him, you are not fixing the problem. But when you get the word of God, because the word of God now is showing us the real battle, and the word of God helps us to find covering, you see. And in the word of God we also learn how to fight back. So we do see it by the power of God that we're not just all about getting covering, but we also fight back. So there are biblical verses that shows us that we have to proclaim these words, and when you do that, God will release your freedom, because freedom is available. But as a child of God, it's important for you and I to keep reading this word, receiving them in our hearts. When we do that in faith, we receive the blessing because it is promised, and we can trust the one that has promised. So it's a matter of receiving the word in faith, and then you see the power of God. For instance, we're going to open at Psalm. Let's open Psalm 91. I just wanted to see some verses there that shows the promise of protection. Psalm 91 verse 1 says, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." 2 says, "I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him I will trust." Now, this is showing us the protection. God being a place where we abide, and this is where we hide. He is our refuge and fortress. And if you look at fortress, this is a place where you are covered. Not just only are you there, just inside only, but there is some sort of protection fighting for you, protecting you. So this promise of God, we find it in the word of God. God is allowing his word to be the authority to allow his truth to fight for you. So in the word of God, we do get what? We do get covering, and we also get the power of God fighting back on our behalf. It's not always about hiding, get the covering, but fighting back. So we're going to look at Isaiah 54 verse 15. Isaiah 54 verse 15 says, "Indeed, they shall surely assemble, but not because of me. Whoever assembles against you shall fall for your sake." It means that God is not the one gaining against us, but those who are doing those things that are planning against you, the Bible tells you that they shall fall for your sake. It means something will happen to them. You don't need to fight back for your sake. You don't need to fight people back. You don't need to fight people on the physical, because you have to fix the problem in the spirit, because your real enemy is the devil, and he's using people for that. They're demons. You see, let's go to let's go to Ephesians 6. I just want us to go and read what Paul was telling us about these demonic spirits. Ephesians 6 verse 12 says, we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. So these are the real enemies that we are facing. So the truth is getting the truth from the word of God. You know, you're going to hear a lot of testimonies about how people came out from darkness or what they're going through, but don't divorce the word of God after everything you hear, because you know, someone will tell you the truth. We're going to come with the truth of God, because God will also use us to tell you the strategies the devil maybe is using against you. But these things are not made for you to dwell on them more than you dwell on the word of God. It's like God allows you to know some certain truth so that the enemy will not deceive you about that, you see. But so you got to be glued more on the word of God, so that when you hear something about what the devil is doing, you will not be afraid of him. But you will have to go back to the word of God and allow the word of God to come so deep and so heavy on you that you are able to pray and see change. So when you allow that growth to happen, you have to be very committing even in holiness, praying to God that he helps you to live a righteous life, praying to God to help you to commit in the truth, and praying for faith. I know most people have been told that you don't need to pray for faith, just read the word. I have prayed for faith, and God helped me in the areas where I was struggling in faith. So there's no harm in asking God to help you because you're struggling in faith. God is your Father. He created heaven and earth. He cannot be bothered by you coming and say, God, help me, I'm struggling in faith, because God cares about you. You see, just looking at the word that it is impossible to please him without faith, it doesn't mean it just leaves you hanging there. He wants you to come back operating in the faith. So the word of God is not just covering you. The word of God is also defending you, fighting back for you. It fights back for you, offending the kingdom of darkness. The real fight, not this kind of fight, the lie fight that this devil has been making people to think about. The reason why this is happening is because there's that witch. You have to deal with that witch. You are not solving the problem. Maybe you can try to destroy that witch, you will raise another one. So you're not fixing the problem. So when you are going to the word of God, you are fighting the right way. That's why he hates Christians, because that's where the true light comes in. That's where the devil really is ticked off, because God shows us the real enemy, the real one with the problem. So I thank you so much for being here today. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. God bless you. I love you. Take care. Bye.